Gender is a weird topic because it's simultaneously so all-encompassing and so given to change that it almost feels fraught to try to actually assign a definition to it, but at the same time, it's so prevalent and it's so embedded in our culture that, like, it's necessary to characterize it. Does that make sense? I'm reminded of a video I made when I was 13 where I'm literally just reading out the dictionary definition. Gender is the state of male or female, typically used with reference to social or cultural differences rather than biological ones. And I can still say something to that effect. I can say that gender is a set of socially constructed expectations for people that are primarily determined by the sex they were assigned at birth, though that's not true in all cases. As I learned, I did not realize this. The section in the book about how different cultures comport with gender was fascinating. One thing that really stood out to me in that reading was the anthropologist who was living with a tribe in Borneo, and how, like, the members of the tribe saw that she was, by our standards, biologically female, but that didn't even factor into their perception of her gender. I'm a linguistics major, and I'm reminded of set theory here. I guess it's a broader philosophical concept. In the context of the assignment, I'm probably overthinking this, but being asked to define gender is like being asked to define a chair in a way that includes all chairs and excludes everything that isn't a chair. You know, you can try to say an isolated seat for a person, typically with a back and four legs, but hey, that's a horse. I think the reason that I'm struggling so much to actually put a concrete definition down is because ideologically, I am a gender abolitionist, but that still has to comport with the very real existence of gender in this society. I guess ultimately, broadly, gender is a means of distinction. And I think that the function of distinction is sort of twofold. On an individual level, it sort of begets a feeling of self-worth and autonomy and individuality, but on a macro level in a society, distinction reinforces an imbalance of power. The idea of gender binary glasses particularly stuck out to me, primarily because a week or two ago I had an experience to which that felt particularly relevant. To tell this as concisely as possible, I have a close guy friend who's been telling me for maybe a year and a half that he thinks he wants to wear women's clothing, and he is not sure if he's trans or if he just sort of wants to, for all intents and purposes, be a woman. And when I brought up the idea of going out and shopping for women's clothes, he seemed really excited about that. We're both sort of operating on this vague assumption that he is maybe possibly trans. He's checking a lot of the boxes for a trans girl, but the more that we talk about it, he wasn't. He's a cis guy. He just wants to wear women's clothes. And we'd both sort of internalized this binary so much that we couldn't process that he could want to wear women's clothes and also be a cis man. But so sort of like in the realm of gender binary glasses, it was the fraught nature of gender binary glasses that led me to gender abolitionism. I feel like this is like a web. I hope this all makes sense. Using myself as an example, I like wearing men's clothes. I've shopped in the men's section. I have men's clothes in my closet. I've never felt bad about it. And I also like wearing women's clothes. Sometimes I like to be more masculine. Sometimes I like to be more feminine. And no one really faults me either way. My cis male friend doesn't really get that privilege. He's 6'2". It's hard to find any clothes in the women's section that would fit him. And every garment that he tries on that doesn't fit makes him feel even worse about the fact that he wants to wear it in the first place. And when you say all of this out loud, and I mean this in the most respectful, validating way possible, kind of ridiculous. I have very conservative family members who really enjoy debates. So between that and a lot of micro-labeling of myself between ages like 12 and 14, my overall stance on gender is just that the more that we try to codify and systemize it, the more difficulty there's going to be. There was a quote in the book that I won't read out directly, but basically what it said was that the journey to adulthood for some people is smooth and easy, and for other people it's incredibly distressing and difficult, and for most of us it's in between. But what I said was, I like to wear pretty dresses. You like to wear pretty dresses. We all like to wear pretty dresses. When I put it like that, I did not expect her to be as amicable to the idea as she was. But how do you argue with that? Dresses are fun to wear. And it made me think of some of the interviews in Paris is Burning, where people would talk about how their parents were so ashamed, especially their mothers. Their mothers were so ashamed that they would dare to wear a dress, and they would throw out their clothes and they would burn them. And the idea that a teenage boy would get kicked out of his house by his mother for wearing the clothes that she wears on a regular basis, it's crazy that it's that baked into our culture, that it's seen as that errant and that perverted. I'm hoping I covered all my bases there. I feel like I got sidetracked a lot, but I really, really enjoy these classes. So, thank you.